more students coming or? Yes, okay. So we will not wait anymore. We are already at 1:35. So as you have already been listening to the 2 sessions earlier, you know like what we are trying to project here, right? So my topic for this session is going to be diet. So in this afternoon session, we are discussing about physical health. Yes, the earlier session you saw about mental health. This is physical health, and here we have divided it into 2 aspects. That is, we have got ahara and then we have got vihara. So like we discussed earlier, what we are trying to project through this workshop is that this is not from the Ayurvedic point of view. We are all Ayurvedic doctors, and we know that ahara has been extensively explained in our textbooks. But what I am trying to bring to you is the knowledge that was there in our ancient literature. So a lot of textbooks, they are names that we think, it is mostly connected to our, about devotion and self-realization. But no, even such textbooks, they have discussed in detail about ahara, because, we are what we eat. So coming to, these are the non-medical textbooks that as a part of a project, in order to pick the verses for ahara, we have gone through. So you can see, we have a range of textbooks. Now some textbooks you can see like Panchatantra and all, we study it during our first year. We have that as a subject when we study Sanskrit. So some names are very familiar with us, but you see we have some Upanishads. So what textbooks were not discussed earlier with Dr. Shyam, I have just marked them in bold. In the Upanishads, we have 2 Upanishads which have discussed about ahara. So Chandogya Upanishad, I am not going to explain in detail about the textbook, but this is just introducing you to the text. Chandogya Upanishad is a part of the Samaveda, and Taittiriya Upanishad is a part of Yajurveda. So basically it is like realization of the supreme and self-realization. Those are the basic philosophies that is discussed in this textbook. So we think it is a very intense philosophical Hindu text, but we find that even context as simple as ahara, they are being explained in detail here. Then you see the Natakas. Malavika Arpimitra, you must have heard. It is a 5-act play that was written by Kalidasa. So it is very, very popular, and it mentions that it is based on the real life story of a king called Agnimitra, and then we have Nagananda. So that is also a drama that was actually written about a prince who was willing to sacrifice himself in order to save the clan of the snakes. See, it is a Nataka. So what we expect there is, the story, there is a love story and there is a hero trying to sacrifice his life. So even in texts like that, there are very intense knowledge that we can obtain about food. Then we are coming to the Puranas. You can see Markandeya Purana and Shiva Purana. These are names that we constantly hear, right, at homes or discussions. So these 2 Puranas, they are one of the 18 major Puranas of the Hindu philosophy. And Markandeya Purana, Devi Mahatmya, which has gained very, it has become very popular because of Devi Mahatmya is being explained in Markandeya Purana. Then we have Shiva Purana. So from the name itself we know it is mostly attributed to Shiva literature corpus. Excuse me. And then coming to Arthashastra. So Arthashastra is also, even in schools, we study Arthashastra was written by Chanakya during the reign of Chandragupta Maurya. Yes. So this covers political science, economics, it covers military strategies, but we have got a lot of concepts about ahara that a normal person in his day-to-day life should follow. Then we have Bhoja Prabandha. Bhoja Prabandha is, it is about King Bhoja, and the author of this is, Ballala Deva. So Ballala Deva, I think the name you must be very familiar, yes, Bahubali, but this is not that Ballala Deva, this is 11th century AD. And he has actually written about, the poetic excellence and how the king was, giving much importance to art and culture, and in that we have got references about ahara. And then we have the Auchitya Vichara Charcha, which means it is nothing but a literature recension where they discuss like, okay, this critical, assessment of whatever poem or whatever artwork is being available to the public. And then we have those from Dharma Shastra, you can see Vaishnava Dharma. They are from the name itself, it is like attributed to devotion of Vishnu. Shri Bhashyam is also attributed to devotion of Lord Vishnu. And then we have Sankalpa Suryodaya, so that is considered to be an allegorical drama. Allegorical means you are presenting a character that will present with an idea or a policy. Yes, it is like we see movies, right? So this is the hero and he presents these virtues. So this is an allegorical drama. So when they present something, you get an idea from that particular story. And then I have taken some verses from Ayurvedic textbooks. So I think Kashiva Samhita is very familiar with all of you. And then we have Vrinda Madhava and Yoga Ratnakara. So they are all treatises that handles various aspects of Ayurvedic concepts and treatment. So my topic on ahara, I have picked from all these textbooks, and you can see that totally the number of textbooks referred by 23, I have about 170 verses, so it is not possible to discuss all of them here. In my slides, I have included about 50 plus, and we will see how much we can cover here. So this is the word cloud. Why we create this is, as you move through the slide, sometimes we get, you don't get focused, like, okay, we were talking about do's, we were talking about don'ts. So what I want you to understand from this word cloud is that we have accepted, humans as they are. From the beginning, not only Ayurveda is also like that, we are very flexible, yes. We say if you are Vata, you do this, if you are Pitta. That is how we present in our literature. The ancient textbooks were also exactly the same. They have never placed any restriction. They are very flexible. They have mentioned this can be done this way. If you don't do it is like this. This you can follow, you may not follow. This is the effect. That is how the ancient texts have explained about ahara. It is a very flexible platform taking into consideration a normal man. So this is just overlaying the topic. So here we are going to go through all these, but I just wanted you to know that we have this variety of topics being covered in the ancient texts. So it is really incredible. Actually speaking, even when I started going through these points, only I knew, okay, in Garuda Purana we have so many points. In Markandeya Purana we have so many points. Yes. So when we are at homes, we would be told Garuda Purana should not be. It is a myth actually. So my grandmother, she used to say Garuda Purana, it has a lot of negative things because it explains death and what happens after death. So they are like, we should not read Garuda Purana, but it is not like that. We have so many concepts mentioned in Garuda Purana, not only for the medicos, but also otherwise it holds intensive value. So this is the overlay of the topics. You can see that this is for a normal man to get health, prevention of disease, and how you can treat a disease at a basic level. So now we are coming to the introduction of ahara. This whole session is going to be about ahara, right? So in the context, coming to the public awareness part, what we have to understand is that the United Nations organization, they have a 17-point action plan. They are called as SDGs, yes, Sustainable Development Goals. Out of that, zero hunger is the second point. So with that we can understand the prioritization. The first one is no poverty. So this United Nations organization, their primary target, first SDG is no poverty. The second point is no hunger, because that many millions of people are suffering from this particular condition. So not only from the context of, though we are discussing about ancient literature and trying to connect it with public awareness. We should know that ahara, even in the concept of coming generations, it is very, very important. So this is the statistics that is taken by the World Food Program. So can you see 42.3 million people, they are in the emergency or worse levels of hunger. And this program is actually aiming to address about 150 million people, trying to, as a part of this sustainable development goal. So large part of this is coming because of the food waste that is happening. So this is just to sensitize you to this topic because we are discussing about food. So yearly about 3.3 billion tons of food is being wasted. So starting from production up to the point in our homes, in the market, consumers, totally an average of 3.3 billion tons of food is being wasted. Means nobody is able to use it. So now we are coming to the textbook. That was just an introduction, freshening you up. So Chandogya Upanishad gives the definition of ahara. It says, Ahniyat iti ahara. So see the word that is used, that which is grabbed. So normally what we would say is you request, you ask for. So with this definition itself we can understand that it is something that Ayurveda also says that. So according to Ayurveda also we say it is Vyakarana Dharet Shuddha. We start with Shuddha. Yes. So here Chandogya Upanishad says that it is something that will be grabbed because that urge is something you cannot overcome that easily. So Mahabharata and Taittiriya Upanishad, they are both trying to convey the meaning that, life itself, it starts from food. So we are not telling that, or the environment, or we don't say about, paternal and maternal involvement or nothing. Acharya is saying that ahara sarva bhutani, everything on this earth, it is arising from food. So we are telling them that is the starting point of life. And then aharena vivardante. So here all the functions of food is mentioned. This is responsible for growth and then jivanti jantavaha. So to maintain life also ahara is required. Sankalpa Suryodaya, this is another textbook that I had mentioned. So this also is conveying the same meaning, but that you should protect your life by all means. See, Jivanto hi Bhadrani Pashyanti. You have to protect your life because anything to happen or anything for you to do, the first thing that is required is life. Yes. So locally also the term that we use is prana. So prana we are means translating it as life. So this has to be protected by all means. In modern, when you ask what do you expect from food, the first thing they say is nourishment. Yes, you will say it helps to grow. But our textbooks are telling that food is nothing but it is life itself. It is prana. Tadgriham yatra vasati tad bhojyam yena jivati. So here they are telling it is just like we talked about protecting your prana. Now we are comparing it to like a house. So where you stay, that is a house. But what protects your life, you and your life, that is ahara. So we have so many verses, like how you have to protect your body and about your soul, how self-realization happens. But here directly the basic connection is made to the food that you take. So we have told that it is life itself. We are telling food is also protecting your body. So these are all, in continuation with trying to explain how much important food is for us on a day-to-day basis. So this sloka you see, it is again taken from Mahabharata. And this says, Shakyate dustyaje apyarte chiraratraya jeevitam. So what happens is you can sacrifice wealth. Yes. So somebody is in trouble, you want to give a lot of money to them. you can do that. You can still continue with your activities and your life moves on. But what happens if you sacrifice food? On an average, it is told from 8 to 21 days a person can survive without food. But that depends, like how much there is energy stored, how much nutrient stored is there. But once you stop taking food, the depletion is starting to happen, both physically as well as mentally. So the presentation here is that na tu bhojanam utsrujya shakyam vartayetu chidam. But without food, if you decide to stop food, then it is going to be a problem. So one question that we can put is, ancient literatures, they used to talk about fasting. Yes, not only as a part of treatment, but also as a regular part of cultural practices, religious practices. We had fasting, but that is not complete abstinence. There you are only restricting the number of meals you take or the type of meal that you take. So giving up food is not a healthy practice. So this is, really put in, if you notice the textbook, it is Auchitya Vichara Charcha. So I had told that this is, a literary recension of poems or proses that are presented. So they have presented the, the importance of ahara in a very, we call it the prasam. I don't know how we translate prasam. So it is a very, funny way of explaining a serious thing. Yes. So you see, Bubukshate Vyakaranam na bhujyate, Vipasate Kavya rasona pidate. See the concept? To a hungry person, he cannot eat grammar. And a person who is thirsty, he cannot be given Kavya rasa. Kavya rasa means poetry. So when you are hungry, it has to be satiated with food itself. So there is no alternative for food. When you are hungry, the only solution that we get is you have to take food. So the expert is not concerned with this, so I am not explaining that. So this is also, Chanakya has explained almost the same thing here. He says, Veena Vamshas Chandanam, Chandrabasas Chandrabasa Yauvanas Tarunya. So see the way in which the poetic explanation has been given. Instruments like veena and murali. Yes, in olden days, the main entertainment used to be playing of instruments. So if you see in the king's court and all, they'll have musicians, and after the major issues are all addressed, they'll have a time when entertainment is being done. So even when you give instruments or listening to instruments like this, Chandra Basa Yauvanas Tarunya. So a woman who's as beautiful as the moon. So I think, I don't know why moon gets compared, because if you see the moon, there's actually you can see a lot of stars and black shades, right? But it was a poetic way of explaining beauty. So a woman who's as beautiful as the moon, they will not look attractive and beautiful to a hungry person. So here, what they are trying to, giving similes and examples, they are trying to explain that there is no alternative for food. So this is from Chanakya. Arthashastra it is taken. So when a textbook like Chanakya we are discussing, we expect more of political science and military strategies to be told. Yes. But here see, very beautifully he has explained that there is no alternative for food. Now this is something, it is a part of culture, cultural practices. Now whatever be it is not about religion, but basically, there are some methods, or we can say there are specific statements made when you are consuming food. So the first thing is Annam Brahmeti Vyajanam. You should remember that it is God itself. That is why we have the culture of you chant mantras, you're praying to the Almighty. You think that it is a blessing for us to get our meal. So I think when they do in the Bible, my sister knows, like you pray, maybe get the next meal. And so like that, in our culture also we have this Brahmarpana, we have this Annapurneshwari mantra. Why all this is done is, we are believing that food is Parabrahma itself. Annam na Nindyat, tad vrata. So it has to be a vrata that you will not do any Ninda of Anna. So basically, that is why in ancient tradition they had, it would be like all of them would come together and sit, and it would be a very positive energy when a family is coming together for food. But now, you know, the lifestyle and everything is different. So what happens is we are missing this positive energy when we take food. So today afternoon when you are going to have lunch, what you are discussing, the morning class was like this, it was boring like this, or it was interesting like this, yes. So nobody takes a minute to think that, okay, I am taking my meal, I am very happy, it is on time, may I get my next meal, yes. The next thing is Annam cha parichakshita tadvatam. So here we have put the translation as sacrifice food. We can basically, you know, hypothetically connect it to should not waste food. Yes. So mostly what happens is even at homes, most of the time what we cook, it may be you know, wasted. Now because we use refrigerators, we keep it in the fridge and take it, which is very unhealthy. But still, the basic concept is that food should not be wasted. And then annam cha bahu purnita. You should always vow to appreciate food. So how we teach, should we teach children is that, you know, we should be thankful for the food that we get. That is why we are saying all this, it is called the grace, or we do the Annapurneshwari mantra. All this is thanking the Lord for food that we are getting. So this is mentioned as a conduct towards ahara. Nastya Bhakshyam Shuddhitasya. So this is again an interesting verse from Chanakya Sutrasi. So here this becomes a concept. Why what we are trying to tell is that from a medical point of view, we would be not accepting this completely. But we are talking from a normal layman point of view. So when he is hungry, you cannot lay any set of rules for the person. So maybe that it is a food which is incompatible, or it can be a food which is not healthy, but then if he is hungry, the basic concept is that he has to sacrifice his hunger. Why? Because we told it is necessary for sustaining life. So hunger has to be satiated. From Vriddha Chanakya. Chanakya has explained a lot about ahara. So here he says, Prathivyam Trini Rattani Jalam Annam Subhashita. So see the three precious things in the world. It is jala, because we know, more than food, water when you stop your intake, that is makes you more sick faster. That food, because in food your body reserves will be used up gradually. But water content is very, very essential in your body. So he has placed jala as the first priority, then he has placed anna as the second, and then subhashitam. So, people may ask why subhashitam they have placed as the, but subhashitam means words of the wise. But in those days, scriptures and literatures were also considered to be an important part of a normal man's life. So I was working in ABB because we are talking about this. There was Dr. Warrior there. He was the founder of ABB. I couldn't work under him, but before I joined, sir, I think he retired about 5 to 7 years back. So my seniors used to say, he used to finish his rounds and consulting patients by afternoon. And then everybody would go home, relax, and then they would come back in the evening. They would have 1 hour charcha. Yes, so they would pick some topic. It can be some Ayurvedic context, or even it can be something on art, and then they would keep discussing on this. So I am telling, at that point of time, these discussions on literature, it was an essential part of entertainment, because there is no other entertainment. So all of them sit and discuss about interesting topics. So in our interest, it was basically Ayurvedic context, but I am telling this was considered as the 3 most important resources. So this sloka you see, it is from Garuda Purana. Yes. So here Acharya has given importance to 2 aspects. that is Bhojyam Bhojana Shaktischa. So the rest of the verses is in general. Bhojyam is the food. Yes, so far we have been talking that food is important, life is maintained with this, but that is alone not sufficient. What you need? Bhojana Shakti. So there, indirectly we are talking about the importance of Agni. Yes, in our concept, Agni is the basis, even for disease, for health and everything. So Acharya says that Bhojyam and Bhojana Shakti. How do we compare it with Na Alpasya Tapasaha Phala? It is like you are getting a Tabo Phala. If you have Bhojya, means food is available for you, and if you have Bhojana Shakti, food is there but you are not able to eat. So what happens? There is no point in having that food, right? So that is considered to be like a Tabo Phala. It is like you have got a fruit for your meditation. So this title all of you will be knowing, because we study about this starting right from BAMS. So the very interesting thing is that Mahabharata and Bhoja Prabandha, they have explained about Hitahara. So what is the definition for Hitahara? We say Ayushana Patni. Yes. So see the concept what they have mentioned. Nahi sarva hitaha kaschid achara sampravartate. So this is what I was telling in the beginning. Ancient literatures, they have never placed any specific framework. Now you should follow only this. We have been very flexible. So this statement says there is nothing as called as a hita ahara for everybody. So see the next statement. Teineva anyaha prabhavati so aparam bhadate puraha. What is hita for one person? It will not be hita for another person. So we have been talking about all the importance of food, and then we are telling that hitahara varies from person to person. There is no set of rules to be followed. Next verse, if you see, Etad Vyabho Manavaha Patyam Snigdha Ushnam Cha Bhojana. So this is Bhoja Prabandha. If you remember what I told about Bhoja Prabandha, they were concentrating more on discussions about poetry and art. But the context, see, it holds immense importance here. Snigdham and Ushna. Your Bhojana should be Snigdha and Ushna Guna. So that is our major treatment concept, right? We are studying medicine. So what do we say? Starting with Vada Dosha, the first thing that we say is the treatment is Snigdha Ushnascha Vadakna. You see the richness of the culture. For a normal person, he understands when you say, if you want to take a hitahara, you go with Snigdha and Ushna. So they will take ghee, oil, all this will be included. And Ushna in this context, it actually means Ushna Virya. Yes? So whatever it will be normally, Deepana, Pachana, all those dravyas can be used. But I would like to extend it saying that even refrigeration can be avoided. We can hypothetically link to that part also. It means immediately cook the meals to be taken warm. So here, though it is told as a very simple context here, under Hita Ahara, they have actually covered a major prevention aspect of food. And this is, very scientifically proven also. This has again been, the verse is taken from Chanakya Niti. So what we are trying to tell, we all know that during conception, whatever food is taken by the mother, it will definitely affect the embryo, yes? But here the point is, even before conception, pre-conception, Acharya has compared it to Deepo Bhakshayate Dvatam Kajjalam Cha Prasuryate. When you burn a lamp, there is light. So normally we say that, tamas is being driven away by the jyoti and all that. But what we are missing in the picture, there will be soot left behind. Yes, you can see in the lamp or in the wick, there is soot deposit. So food is like that. The beautiful example they have explained. What happens is, modern also it is proved that there is a nutrient, something called a nutrient score in your body. So how they measure that is, every female body, you can assess what is the store of nutrients. Yes. So now modern research has proved that this score is very, very important even pre-conception. So we have lots of infertility problems. So I am trying to connect it to this concept that we are telling. The basic concept that mother's health and father's health at the time of conception, it plays an important role in conception, we know that. But here, just like it is mentioned here, the textbooks, modern textbooks or modern research says that science is still proving it. So this nutrient store, what the female has been taking from childhood. So if you are a malnourished child, you will have a nutrient score. So that if it is very low, your problems with conception can be more. So this is a context that is not considered much. If you go to, consulting for infertility, normally they would look for obesity. They would look for thyroid problems. Yes, then they look for PCODs and such issues. But this is one context that nobody addresses. But this nutrient store is now, it is very trending, it is very popular. So whatever the mother takes from her teenage, it attributes to conception and pregnancy. So that is exactly what Chanakya has explained here. There will be a soot deposit. So if your food is in the wrong path right from the beginning, what happens is you will definitely have issues later. So I just quoted an example for infertility, but it can lead to many other diseases. In food deprivation. So this is one interesting context, like I told. We are even telling that in life-threatening situations, see this sloka, Jivita Atyayam Apanno Yo Annamati Yatastataha Akasha Viva Pankenana Sa Papena Lipyate. This is from Manusmriti. Okay? So you know that our traditional textbooks, they talk about dharma, they talk about, doing no sin. You should be following a very righteous path. Yes? So this context is actually defying all that. What he is telling, you are in a life-threatening situation and you have to have food, then you can even commit a crime. So it shouldn't be considered as a papa. So this shouldn't become an excuse, for us to commit any crimes citing hunger, because hunger crime is actually listed as a crime in law. But I'm just trying to sensitize you that you needn't feel guilty. It shouldn't, of course, harm anybody. But if you have deterred from the path of dharma for the purpose of satisfying your hunger, it is a life-threatening situation, then you need not feel guilty about it. Yes? So this is taken from Manusmriti, and the example he gives is that the sky is not affected by the dirt. You have done it to protect your body. This is interesting. So, the Western proverb goes, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So, I don't know, I would like to stick more to this verse because this gives more meaning to that. So, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So, I don't know whether it is mentioned as a funny proverb or what is that, because, a single fruit sustenance, it is not practically healthy for a long time. But here you see what Arogyasamskriti says, Vaidyanam hitabuk nitabuk ripu. We are telling two aspects to keep the doctor away. One is hitabuk. So we talked about hita ahara, take only what is hita. There we are not telling this is hita for you or this is hita for you. Whatever is appropriate for you, that is health. And then mita book, that is mita ahara. We have not come to the concept yet. So Hita Ahara and Vita Ahara, if you are able to make, then that person becomes the enemy to the Vaidya, or you can say keeps the doctor away. So this is again a statistics about hunger. Now, this is also a part of public awareness program. That's why along with the slokas in between I'm showing images like this. We should know that, there are 14 million children in India at present who are suffering due to malnutrition. We are not getting sufficient food. And see India's status. So this is called as the Global Hunger Index. Out of 125 countries, India has been placed as 101. And you can see we are in the serious area. The score is 28.7, if you can see here. So there is a scale, how you match, how you calculate the country is placed in which category. And India has got a score of 28.7. It is considered to be in a very serious condition pertaining to hunger. So this is from Ayurveda Brahmana. This is another important Sanskrit textbook. So this says that Ashanaya vai papma matihi means hunger becomes a trigger for immorality. So here we are exactly trying to convey what we mentioned earlier. But there Acharya has mentioned that if you do it in a life-threatening situation, you need not feel guilty about it. But here the reason has been mentioned. The Papa Buddhi arises because of hunger. So if you are in a state of hunger which you are not able to control, you can even start committing crimes. So in India, hunger crimes are on the rise. It is very, very high. So when we talk about Sukha and Dukkha, from a spiritual point of view, we say there is self-realization or realization of the Supreme. See what Shiva Purana says. So Shiva Purana is actually a very important Purana out of the 18 major textbooks. And they have explained very clearly what is the greatest dukkha in a man's life. Nasti Kshuddha Samam Dukkha. The biggest worry in a man's life is hunger, if he is not able to satisfy. And Nasti Rogo Kshuddha Sama. There it is being projected as a disease also. Yes, so the worst disease that a man can have is suffering from hunger. And then Nasti Ahara Samam Saukya. But if you get food, that is the best Saukya. So we have religious practices, right? For example, if you take Vishu, what we do, you set all fruits, eatables, rice, grains, navadanyas, everything is kept. What are we trying to portray? That it is an essential part of our life. And then you want that to be filled the next year also when you are doing the Vishukati. Then we have so many rituals where adore, appreciate the food that you get. Because Ahara is the biggest Saukya in this universe. So Shiva Purana has explained it in a very simple way. So what happens if you do not address your hunger? Kshuddha Aturana na balana tejaha. So why we give breaks when classes are going on? For us, as a part of this workshop, we would like to finish by 3:30 or 4, but we give you breaks in between. Why? Because you need to refresh. You need to re-energize. So, trying to cut short your food time and then, you continue with your work. What happens? Na balana tejana. Because you are in a hunger process. So, modern perspective also, this you must be knowing that we have neuroreceptors in the gut, right? It is because of these neuroreceptors that you get an unsatiable feeling of hunger. So you cannot control it. And once that comes, what happens? We told Veena Vamshacha Punashcha. You are not able to focus on anything. So that is exactly what we are telling here. If you do not satiate your hunger, you lose your bala, you lose your tejas also. So this is very interesting examples. Now we may think that okay, in theory all this is told, we know this. But see the examples that they have told. Nagananda has explained about Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra is a very common name, we know that, right? Vishwamitra is a Brahma Rishi. He he is a Kshatriya and a Brahmana at the same time. Very valiant, very vigorous, full of tejas, super powerful, and he follows all the dharma correctly. So Vishwamitra, what happened one was, there was a drought in the area where he was staying. With all his superpowers, he couldn't do anything to address his hunger. He was very, very hungry, and he started roaming around in the forest. At that point of time, he came to a hut where there was a person, a poor man who was living in that hut. And when Vishwamitra was crossing by that hut, he saw that the dog's hind part, it was hungry. In meat shops they cut and they, if you would excuse my use, it is cut and then they hang it by hooks. At that point of time, they use ropes, and he saw that it was dog's hind part. He immediately walked into that hut and he begged the person, please give me the meat. I want to eat it. So this person was actually, he was very, he didn't know what to do because this is a great sage and that is meat. But then Vishwamitra, he convinced him that if I need to be alive, I have to take this. Finally, the forest dweller, he had to cook the meat and give him. So Vishwamitra also defied his dharma. Why? Because he wanted to preserve his life. The next example is, Hitopadesha says, Tyajet Shuddhartha Mahila Swaputra. A mother's love is considered to be the most, ultimate in the universe, right? Very pure and, it is considered to be the best kind of love. So here they have mentioned that when a woman becomes hungry, she abandons her child. Means it can be to that extent, how much it traumatizes you. And Kadet Kshudartha Bhujagi Swamatta means a snake can eat its own. So this part I read like if there is any authenticity to that. So many species of snakes are not known to do this, but devouring their own eggs. But then there are some snakes, but it is attributed to, they suspect the eggs are infected, or the offspring that is coming out of it may be not healthy. At that point of time, the snake can devour its egg. But here, that has been cited as an example. And then we have Bubukshitaha Kimna Karoti Papam. So why not a man commit a crime? So here, the whole point is not that you can do a crime in the name of hunger. The point is that this is something that is beyond our control. So you cannot, up to a certain point only you can keep it under control. After that you are forced to do something to satiate your hunger. Have you heard of Ajigartha? This name is not that common or familiar. He is also called as, not Ajigartha, son's name is Shunaha Shepa. Anybody has heard? You had good food there, 4th row. You are all looking very kapavruti. No, it's okay. Was after lunch and then you are into an intense topic. Have you heard the term Harishchandra? King Harishchandra. So this Ajigartha is actually connected to that story. Harishchandra, he had 100 wives and he did not have any children. So he is praying to Lord Varuna, and Varuna is telling that we will have a deal. You give me something, I will give you a child. So Harishchandra was so desperate to have a child because kingdom has to be passed over to his son. They need son to hold the kingdom. So he says, give me a son, and at one point of time I will sacrifice him to you itself. Doesn't make sense. But Varuna accepted, okay. And then immediately he had a son, and then the son grew up, and it was almost the age that he was going to be declared as the next king. So Varuna comes asking for what is promised to him. Then Harishchandra says that it is difficult for me to hand over my son. So can I do some other alternative? So Varuna is like giving a time point. So within this, if I don't get what I promised, you will have to face my wrath. So the son, what he does, he goes and finds this Ajigartha. He is extremely poor. Their whole family is, starving. They don't have anything. He has 3 children. So his son is Harishchandra's son manipulates Ajigartha into sacrificing one of his sons. So here a complete, deal is happening there between Harishchandra and Varuna, between the son and Ajigartha and his son. Ajigartha says, out of my 3 sons, I will not give the first son because he has to do the funeral rites for me. In that time we had a practice of the funeral rites has to be done by the eldest son. Only then they would get Swarga Prapti. So there were some beliefs like that. And I will not give the 3rd son because he is the mother's favorite. So the sacrificial lamb is the 2nd son. So this 2nd son, he invokes a deity called Ushas, and she comes and saves him. So here what we are understanding is that Ajigartha was ready to sacrifice his son because he wanted to come out of this hunger. His whole family was starving. So at that point of time, it was not like he didn't love his son, but he had to do something in the interest of his family, otherwise the whole family would die. So these are very prominent characters in our ancient literature. Untimely, Ardharatrayepi Bhunjanaha Paramartha Bhubhukshitaha Yati Vidhnami Bhudate. So here you can see Acharya is mentioning a specific time. Ardharatra, even if it is midnight, if you are hungry, please go and have food. So if you follow this, you are not going to get any diseases. Now this is not exactly matching with what we studied. But remember that it is not from a medical point of view, this is for a normal person. So I have seen some, memes and trolls where doctors say, do not take food in the night, and then the patient is asking then why there is light in the fridge. It is so that we can go and eat in the dark. But for a normal person, the concept is whenever you are hungry, you should eat. Why? Because your body is signaling you. The energy is less, the sense organs are not able to function properly, so I need food. So when that signal comes, you have to satisfy it. That is the basic logic. Hunger and taste perception. So see here, the societal comparison has been made here. This is a verse from Mahabharata. So in Mahabharata they have explained about different varnas, right? We have the 4 varnas, Shudra, Vaishya, everything is explained in the Mahabharata. In that context itself, it is mentioned, Sampannataram evanam daridra bhunjate sanam shud swadutam janeti. What they are trying to say is a poor man, whenever he gets food, it is very tasty for him. So irrespective of what the food is or how much quantity he is getting, it is tasty. This quality is missing in Sa cha adeshu suduryava. So the concept we are trying to communicate here is the perception. So it is not whether it is actually tasty, it is how you perceive. Because the poor are always in need of food. Anything you give them, they find the food tasty. So here we are also bringing in a spiritual message. Yes, you are accepting the food with grace and then liking the food. So that quality is absent in the rich because of over availability of food. So this point we had already discussed. These are more verses. This is from Vaishnava Dharma. So 2 specific dhatus are mentioned here. I shouldn't tell dhatu because they have used, this is from not from the medical point of view. So Rakta is mentioned and Shukra is mentioned. Yes, Rakta, why we are telling? It is the life force, and Shukra is the, we can say, the mandatory, what do we say, the essentiality required for the formation of a project. So these 2 aspects, it is specifically mentioned that it is because of Annada Raktam cha Shukra. It is healthy, it is being produced, it is being maintained because of Anna. benefits of food, this we know, like what we have been discussed earlier, but here they are, all these terms we can see in Ayurveda also, right? So we should remember that this is taken from Mahabharata, so where you are expecting a story. So in between those verses, you can also see about how food is actually helping. So we have got Tejo, Balam cha, Rupam cha, Sattvam, Viryam, Dhriti, Dyutihi, Jnana, Meda, Tada, Ayurveda. So these many things you are getting because of food. So the message from this is what? Hita Ahara and Mita Ahara, it has to be followed mandatorily. So coming to nutrition, this is from the Shiva Purana. See, Acharaha Kulam Akhyati, Vapurakyati Bhojana. Acharaha, why we are telling here is, Achara is culture. Yes? So whatever practices you follow, Arogyasamskriti is a part of us trying to instill the knowledge of a behavioral culture. Yes? We are not trying to teach medicine. We want you to know what were the behavioral cultures that were followed pertaining to food. So achara, whatever practices you are doing, it depicts your culture. Whatever practices you are following, it shows your kula. We call it as kula mahima. You must have heard this word, right? Person is educated, they are very rich, they earn well, but we say no culture. Yes, he is cultureless. She is cultureless. What we are trying to say, the practices are not properly imbibed in that person. So that has to come from, passed on from family. Especially in ancient times, this was very, very important. And then, Vapurakyati Bhojana. So your constitution, that is the appearance, the body, that will show, depict about the food that you have been taking. So in this context, we are not talking about six-pack or zero figure. This is about a healthy presentation. So you must be knowing, we talk about Fahad Fasil. A lot of discussion going on about his appearance. Have you read somewhere? He looks very, malnourished. He was very healthy and he was not obese, he was good looking and healthy. But now you can see that he has got a sort of emaciated look. He looks like he is malnourished. So something is wrong. You don't know what it is. Or maybe he has been trying to lose weight. But Vapurakyati. So if you see the appearance of the person, you know that what is the food that they take, are they healthy, what presentation are they. So in Malayalam we say, it is very very commonly used. If you see the kid, you know like what they have been consuming. So this part is very, very important. This we had already discussed about the Vrata for food. This is very, very important. So this is again from Mahabharata. So see the verse. Adyate vidivat uttamatti uttara manyata ayushyam swasthya padam yuvam anyamete vedanam sukha. So this is very important because however the food is recommended, it has to be taken that way. Yes, we say this is healthy, this is not healthy, but then you are not taking it as it is recommended. So ginger, it is, just telling an example, it is Dipana Bhajana. So it is considered to be, Dravyaguna we studied that. Adraka and Lavana, you take Purva Bhojanam, it is considered to be very healthy. It is Rodho Shodhana. But you are not supposed to take ginger in excess quantities. It is bad for your health. You can do even the Shukra Nasha. So food should be taken as recommended. Even if it is healthy, if you take it in a way that is not recommended, what happens? It is not swasthi. It will cause the opposite effect. So this verse is from the Mahabharata. Food through anindya karma. Now we talked about papa. Yes, you commit a crime, but you need not feel guilty. Or if you are trying to steal food from others, it is okay. That is what earlier we discussed. But here, you can see that they have told, Yoga Vasishta has told that Kuryat Aharam Prana Sandaranartham. You need Ahara for Prana Sandarana, to protect your life, to maintain or sustain your life. But Karmam Kuryata Anindya. But do not do any karma that is Anindya. Means maximum stick to the framework. Maximum try to follow Dharma. But when it becomes a life-threatening situation, we would resort to the other course. Yes? So whatever you are expected to do to get ahara or daily wages for you, daily food for you, it should be through anindya karma, following the righteous path. So 3 points are mentioned. What is the type of food that is essential for good health? The first point you see, grasitum yat shakyam grasitum grasyam. It should be edible. So don't go in for foods, which is not possible to eat, because ahara is rasapradana. The first thing that we expect from food is taste. If there is no taste, how much ever healthy it is, you cannot eat that food. So it should be edible. The second point is grastam parinamechayat. It should be digestible. So here and all you can connect it to Agni, right? So we say Ladhu Ahara, Snigdam Ushnam. This is all, it reduces the load on the Agni. This is also telling, Mahabharata is also telling exactly the same thing. It should be edible, it should be it should be easily digested. And then finally, Hitam ja pariname. Means after the digestion process, it should be useful for you. So these are the 3 points that you should keep in mind when you are deciding what to eat. So can you appreciate the flexibility with which the ancient textbooks have explained? They have not told take milk, wake up, take milk, take fruits. This is not how they have explained. Take something that is edible. Take something that is easily digestible. And it should be a food that gives you some benefit after it is digested. This is exactly the point that we were telling now. So see the, C part of the sloka, Uttam Vruta No Ruchiram Na Patyam. This is from Chanakya. Okay, so if you actually see the verses of Ahara that is mentioned in Chanakya, you will be really in adoration of that person. Chanakya is like the Superman in politics. Yes, you get all the about business do's and don'ts, everything he has written down. You just look into the points he has mentioned on ahara, you will start adoring him. So we are concerned with, because this is ahara, we are concerned with the third part of the sloka, Bhukta Vrita No Ruchira Na Patyam. Means that which is not having any taste, that which is not patya, it is useless. Yes, so like we told earlier, food is ahara is rasapradana. The first thing a person would look for in food is taste. If that is not there, how much ever healthy it is, we will not eat. And then it should be patya. So taste and patya from a normal person's viewpoint, that is very, very important quality for food. Otherwise it is useless. Excessive eating. So this is explained by Manusmriti, even from the health context, as medical people also. This excessive eating is a major issue now, because there are eating disorders. We have bulimia, you must have heard of it. Bulimia nervosa, we have binge eating disorder, where we are not in control of their eating pattern. So here you see they have just told Ati Bhojan. So in that part of the era also, this was something that was to be concerned, means discussed, or people were concerned about this particular aspect, Ati Bhojana. What it says, Anarogyam, Anayushyam, Aswargyam, Apunyam, Yoga Vidvishtam. These terms you must be knowing. Anarogyam, Anayushyam means it will reduce your lifespan. Aswargyam means you will not get Swarga Prapti. So in our culture, traditional textbooks, this Swarga Prapti is considered to be a part of attaining moksha and so on. We need not go into that part, but it is considered to be yoga vidvishta. You will be hated by the people. So there we are bringing in a societal, presence. When you are amidst people and you have this ati bhojana, people tend to judge you, or you may not be liked to be in the crowd. So this ati bhojana was considered equally important at that point of time. And this is from Manusmriti. Food and emotions. So see this verse, it is taken from Vaidyakiya Subhashitam. Some emotions are being mentioned that you should definitely avoid when you are having food. So we know in Charaka and all we have that, Lobam, Shokam, Bhayam, Krodham, Manaveda. So these are mentioned as the Dharaniya Vedas. But in Vaidyakiya Subhashitam, the emotions are Ishya, Bhaya, Krodha, Samanvitena, Yudhena, Ruk, Dainya, Nipiditena, Vidvesha, Yudhena, Cha, Sevyamana, Annam, Asam. So here what we are telling is, all these emotions, when it is brought to the table, when you are having food, it will have a negative impact on your digestion. So this is proven scientifically also. From ancient times now, the way in which we have food is all changed, right? Mostly we are with our mobiles, or we will be looking into the computer as we eat. So there is no process of emotion. But there is a connection between serotonin, all the happy hormones. It is also there in the gut. So there is a connection between the gut and the brain. So this was, centuries ago. These verses were written, but that is all, proven scientifically. So if your emotions are bad when you are taking food, you can see all these: anger, jealousy. Then you can have vidvesha, hatred. You are thinking about another person and then continuously eating. All this is impacting the way in which your digestion is happening. So the signals are continuously being exchanged between your gut and your brain. So that will affect your digestion. If this is going to become a regular process, eventually you are going to become unhealthy or sick. So maintaining a positive attitude while you are having food is very, very important. Now this is about Ajvirna. We told that it is from a normal man's, means for a normal person, all the framework that is mentioned here, but they have, specifically given importance to Ajvirna. So Ajvirna is a term we locally use in Malayalam also. So casually if you ask somebody what is wrong with you, they will say, Inki Ajvirna. Yes? So we are seeing it as a disease, we are seeing it as a Sanskrit term, but it is a term that normal people use. So Ajirna means not exactly indigestion, there is some problem with your stomach. That is the meaning here. So what is mentioned here is Ajirne Bhojanam Visha. So in those days, the most common thing that a person would get is Ajirna. So at that point of time, the prescription, whether it is at home or by the people close to you, it would be do not take food. So we also say Langana, right? The first treatment, if you see Jwara and all, we are telling first you have to do Langana. Why? Because you want to remove the ama. That is exactly what they have told in Arogyasamskriti. You skip your meal. The next one is, it is from again Chanakyas, and there it says Ajirne Bhojanam Visham. So many examples are given, but the basic key message that we take from this is, in Ajirna, if you are going to take food, it is going to be like poison. So normal man would know that if he has any discomfort in his body or related to stomach, the first thing that he has to do is skip the meal. Do not take any food. So generally what we would say is, the general points to avoid is na Bhujido Drita Sneha. So this is very important because they have emphasized a lot on Sneha. Yes? So if you see the Varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, the Sneha part, it would mostly go to the Brahmanas, and then you can have the Kshatriyas. But Vaishya and Shudras, they don't have much access to taking the skill. They are not in that part of the, because Vaishyas are okay. The Shudras, they would not be, much access, having much access to this. The general maintenance of health, everywhere, this Mehana or Snigdha is very specific. So out of the three doshas, we say Vada is the one that has to be controlled first. Yes. So hypothetically connecting all this, we can understand that they exactly know what they were talking about. So your food should not be without any sneha. It should be included in your ahara. The next thing is na ati saukhithyam achare. Never take food nati prage nati sai. So here the timing of the food is mentioned. Never take it too early in the morning. Sorry, never take it too late in the mornings and too late in the evening. So this all matches with what is mentioned in modern dietetics also. There is a context called chrononutrition. If you have heard about it, it is about the timing of your diet. So it has got a lot of effect on the physiology of your body. So our text, they have mentioned in a very simple way, do not take it too late in the morning and too late in the evening. You can actually connect it to the dosha presentation in the body, but that is not required here. We are not talking from a medical point of view. And the next point is, if the food is taken in the afternoon and it is in excess, then you have to skip the dinner. So we discussed about the context of ati bhojana, right? So afternoon, if you are going to take a heavy meal, then you have to skip your dinner. The process is very simple. We are trying not to overload your stomach. The digestion needs to be complete, and then you need a relaxation period also. So you have to, the person himself decides what he is eating, what quantity he is eating, and then after how much time he will take the next meal. Yeah, this part you must have read, right? We have this mentioned in Charaka also. What is how you take the food. So this is very interesting. Like when we take class, students will ask, how do you know this is half of my stomach? How do you know this is 1/4 of my stomach? It is a little bit tactical. So many of the points that are mentioned in ancient literatures, we have to apply our yukti. So when you are, what I tell them is, when you are planning the diet itself, you decide like what would be the quantity of your meals taken. So half part anna, when you say, if you are taking about 1 bowl of rice, you can take about half a glass of water. This is a hypothesis because nowhere we are getting exactly an indication like what is this half part, and each person's abdominal capacity is different. So we already told that Agni is different, we told that Hitahara is different. So you are doing a hypothesis and deciding how much quantity, and you should definitely leave 1/4 of your stomach empty. Why? Because the digestion process has to be complete. This is here we are talking about Hita Ahara and Mita Ahara. Yes, I hope you will not forget this sloka. We told Hita book, Vaidyanam, Hita book, Mita book, Viku. So in continuation with that, you can see Sri Vashyam says that Hita, Mita and Medya. Earlier we were discussing only about Hita and Mita. Medya is important. Why? We can here explain the meaning as uncontaminated. So we know now food, it is getting contaminated with lots of issues. The packing, there is a problem, it goes beyond the expiry date. So at that point of time itself, Sri Bhashya has told that Medya Ahara is like a tapas. So freshly prepared food, home cooked food, it is considered to be very, very healthy. It is like a tapas. And Mita Ahara, the definition is being given here, Proktameva Mita Aharastvam Anyesham Alpa Bhojanam. So Ati Bhojanam is not correct. Alpa Bhojanam is considered. So optimum quantities. Yes. Sujithra has actually explained the Lakshanas also. Not remembering the verse now. So he has told Alpa Bhojana what are the Lakshanas. You can see if there is Ati Bhojana, what is the Lakshana, and Mita Bhojana is you get Swasthya. So here they are explaining Mita Ahara as Alpa Bhojana in optimum quantities. So Mita Bhojana is Swasthya. So that is a whole concept that we are trying to tell from the ancient text. The 3 points have been laid stress about. It is Hita, Mita and Medya. So coming to the quantity of the food, we know that Ashtavidhi Ahara rules that are mentioned. We have mentioned Matra also as an important point. So you can see in the ancient text, that is in Mahabharata also, they have explained what is the quantity to be taken. So the term that they use is Vitta Vitta. Yes, this is the beauty of, so demarcating between medical texts and the ancient literature. What we have to understand is, they are not exactly telling you take 5 dosha or you take 5 chapatis. They are only telling Vitta Vitta. What happens by that? Bala Sukham. So if you are taking food that is in optimum quantities for you, it will definitely give you Bala and Sukha. This point we had already discussed, like number of meals, we are telling 2 meals in a day. And this is very interesting. Here Agni has been mentioned. So Agni is actually a medical term, right? In Tamil Nadu, earlier when we were staying in Tamil Nadu, I have noticed, when people are hungry, they wouldn't eat food at a wrong time. Yes? So if 8 o'clock is their time of meal, if they are hungry at 7, what they would do is, they will soak a towel in water, cold water. Yes? And after removing the shirt, they will tie this towel around their abdomen. It will be a wet cloth. Yes? So I never used to understand. So I used to ask, what is this? And it would be like, they are common people. So they would be telling that it keeps, the muscles, they feel very comfortable. But later, when I started analyzing, hypothetically they are trying to cool the Agni. Yes? Because Agni, Jadaragni is burning very strong. I am hypothesizing. Nobody gave me an exact explanation like that. But in Tamil Nadu, I have seen people literally doing this. Wet cloth would be wrapped in their abdomen. It can be because of poverty, or it can be because they are waiting for the time. So those people, they never used to change their time. For us it is okay. 8 o'clock also we will eat. 10 o'clock also we can eat. Yes, 12 also we are ready to eat. But they will eat their breakfast at that specific time. Lunch is at specific time. Before that they will not have food, how much ever hunger. So there we can see that Agni is trying to be pacified. The Ushnata, we are pulling it with this damp cloth. Now here you see in Durbala Agni, Ahara to be taken once. We spoke earlier about Ajirna, right? We said in Ajirna, Bhojanam is like Visham. But here the concept is Agniyal. In a normal person, but Agni is not strong. You can take 1 meal. And if you have got Samadhi, see Samadhi and all is a medical term, right? But this is used in a normal literature text. So that means that if you have good digestion, your Bhojana Shakti is good, you can have meal twice in a day. This we have already discussed. This is the effect of, this in Malayalam also we say, no, I'm not getting, anybody remembers? Yes? Yogi. So, who is not in Malayalam means who doesn't speak Malayalam. So, we have a common saying, or it's rather like a poem. Person who eats once, he is a yogi. If he eats twice, he is a bogi. And if he eats thrice, he is a yogi. So, that is more or less the same thing that we have told. We have told one extra also in Vaidikya Subhashita. If you eat Chandu Bhukte, it is Mridi. So if you are going to take 4 times meal in a day, it is going to ultimately lead to death. So depending upon, so Ekabhuktam and all, you can connect it to fasting. We were talking about cultural practices, right? We do fasting. So Easter fasting, you have 40 days. There is Ramadan fasting. And then we have in Hindu culture also, we have Shashti, we have Pradosham. So many types of fasting. So that is actually helping. It says Ekabhuktam Sadarogyam. And Dvibhuktam is Balavartanam. But from 3 meals onwards, it is actually going to damage your body. So this verse is from the Vaidikiyas portion. So this is the medical part. So you might be thinking like we were talking, it is not from the medical point of view, it is not from the medical point of view. But see, the interesting thing is they have started discussing about disease. So they are not going to say like this will cause this disease, but they are giving you general statements. See what is mentioned. Yadyasya vihitam bhojya na tattasya pradushyati abhakshe bahu doshaha syat tasmat karyona yayatyaha. So this is from Panchatantra. What happens is we talk about Satmya, right? There is a sloka which says Nikdato Alpataya. Everybody remembers? Means the factors which will not affect a person even if it is Viruddha. So Satmya is one point where even if the food is harmful, it will not cause any problem. Ancient literatures, we had a practice of Vyakarana. Yes, they were actually existing. Even if it is mythological stories or epics, there used to be Vyakarnas. So what they are taking every day? Little Visha. It doesn't, they don't die because of that. Why? Because they become Satya. And finally, these are all examples, whatever has been stated in the scriptures, you can actually find characters like that in our epics or mythologies or eulogies. So that is exactly what we are trying here. Once you are used to or Satmya to a particular food, then you do not get a health issue because of that. But if you take the food that is not accustomed to you, then what happens? It will definitely cause a disease. So here the hypothesis or the explanation is about Satmya Ahara. So this is a basic Ayurvedic concept also. Yes, Ahara and Vihara are the 2 basic factors for disease. So you can see Yena Ahara Viharena Rogana Udbhavo Bhati. This is told by Amrita. So we know Vihara, it is hyped a lot nowadays. The basic problem we find with today's, it is not judging any system or finding fault or criticizing. It's a natural thing, because what happens is you go for a nutrition plan or a diet plan. It is all weight based. Yes. The main target, you tell the nutrition or your dietitian that I would like to reduce 10 kgs next 2 years. Then they give you a diet plan. Of course, blood test and everything will be done. But the basic thing is, it is not healthy based. You are not assessing like, is that actually Satmya to the patient? So if not patient, person. If somebody says me, you take only a bowl of vegetables every day in the morning, so you can reduce your weight, I cannot eat. Yes? So it is not personalized. That is the problem with modern dietetics. That is not wrong, but Vihara is also equally important. So if somebody comes with a health issue, or if they come with a requirement, you should definitely consider Ahara and Vihara also. Yes? Physical activity. The next session is on physical activity, so I am not going into that part. Diet is an important cause for the disease. So this we already explained, but in one thing this is very important. Here we are mentioning 2 causes. Another 2 causes are mentioned for disease. So this is from the text called Vikramacharita. Yes? The causes are Atyanta Bana, Vishamasha. So earlier we told 2 causes are Ahara and Vihara. Now the details of this Ahara is Atyanta Bana. The problem with Atyanta Bana is, again, coming to the public awareness part, you can see that there is a lot of hype about waking up and drinking large quantities of water. Yes, it is told to be good for the skin, always being hydrated. It will help in remaining fresh, but there are lots of issues with that because sodium in the body, will start getting diluted when you drink more water than your body actually requires. So in our text, if you see, in our ancient text, what is mentioned, Atyamupana is actually not advised. What we would do when you are thirsty, you would drink water. Yes, we never say, now the latest this is, it is 2.7 liters a day for females. Earlier it was 8 glasses, remember? That used to be high. Now it is changed to 3.7 liters per day for males and 2.7 liters for females. But what if my body doesn't need that much of water? It is a question. So Atyamupana, by ancient literature, it is considered to be the cause for the disease. And of course, Virudha Ahara we know. This is a term we study in Ayurveda also. Whatever is incompatible for you, that is considered to be cause for disease. So that was, I have more slides, but my time is up. In conclusion, what I would like to say is, now Ahara from a medical point of view, we know it is immensely important, both for Swasthya Rakshana as well as for Chikitsa. But what we have to understand is, even before the Ayurvedic texts were written, we had immense treasure of literature, which was, the cream of art or poetry or, Niti Shastra, whether it is Puranas, all of them, they have handled this topic called Ahara in a very detailed manner. Why? Because food is the essence of life. Yes. So without discussing about food and how we have to, set that pattern, you cannot aim anything better than life. So ultimately, food is also connected to realization of the Brahman. But we were very flexible. We were very sensitive to the society, and we have explained about Ahara in very simple way. Okay. So with that, I would like to